Hello aspirants, welcome to the fourth lecture of the polity high yield analysis for the prelims 2026. And in this today's video, we will be discussing about the preamble of the Indian Constitution, one of the very important chapters from the Lakshmikant, which has had many questions so far in the last many years for that matter. So we have summarized the entire chapter in just 10 must know questions. So first we will read out all the questions. It is for you to think for the answer, and then we will also briefly discuss the answer as well. Well, let's begin. The question number 1: which country first incorporated a preamble in its constitution, and what is the basis of the Indian preamble? Question number 2: who described the preamble as the identity card of the constitution, and from where does the constitution derive its authority? Question number 3: what is the nature of the Indian state as stated in the preamble? Question number 4: what objective does the Indian constitution seek to achieve? Which changes were made to the preamble by the 42nd Constitution Amendment Act 1976? Does the Constitution permit India to cede a part of its territory to a foreign state? Question number 7: what is democratic socialism? A very important concept. And how does it differ from the state socialism? Right? And then what is social democracy, and how is political equality ensured under the Constitution? And question number 9: what constitutes a republic, and what are the devices of direct democracy? And last question: is the preamble a part of the Constitution, and does it limit legislative power? Now let's quickly discuss the answers as well. Question number 1: which country first incorporated the preamble in its constitution? The answer is USA, right? It starts from "We the people of India," and we have directly incorporated the same thing, and was the first country to have a preamble. And the Indian preamble is based upon the objective solution moved by Jawaharlal Nehru. Second question: who described the preamble as the identity card of the constitution, and from where does the constitution derive its authority? So it was N.A. Palkiwala who described the preamble as the identity card of the Indian Constitution, right? And the Constitution derives its authority from the people of India, because it starts from the word "We the people of India," and it talks about popular sovereignty, right? That the Constitution derives its authority neither from the Parliament nor the British Crown or anything else, but the people of India. Okay. And third one: what is the nature of the Indian state as stated in the preamble? It says India is a sovereign, socialist, secular and democratic republic. Very important, very important. Questions have been asked. Of course, there's no doubt, even if UPSC wants to ask it again, please make sure you remember. Next: what objectives does the Indian Constitution seek to achieve? There are quite a bit, which is social, part of your justice, which includes social, economic and political as well. Liberty, and liberty of what? Liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship. And also equality of status and opportunity. And then fraternity, dignity of the individual, and unity and integrity of the nation. Also, one key thing to remember, that even before this was told in the preamble, it was already mentioned in the fundamental rights and DPSPs as well, because I hope you remember in the previous series we discussed that what ensures social and economic rights of a particular person or a citizen, right? It was the DPSP, correct? And even here it's also mentioned, right? So also it is very important to keep in mind that preamble was the last part which was agreed upon to be included in the constitution, but contrarily, it is the very first thing which you find when you just open the constitution, right? That is also one of the important things. And talking about the fraternity, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar rightfully said, without fraternity, unity and integrity, or let's say even without fraternity, having justice or liberty makes absolutely no sense, right? So these are some of the important statements who said what. So these are some of the important things which you have to remember. This would be very helpful even for the essay, mains answer writing, and also especially you never know when UPSC might ask you the prelims as well, right? So moving on to the next question, which changes were made to the preamble by the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976? Answer is, it added the words like socialist, secular, and integrity. Of course, I hope most of you know this. Sixth question, does the constitution permit India to cede a part of its territory to a foreign state? Very confusing, very complicated, very, I could say, analytical. So it's better you just pay more attention to this when you're reading the Lakshmikant. However, yes, India can cede a territory through constitutional amendment under Article 368. But this was said during the Berubari case 1960, and also it gave Parliament exclusive powers. It clearly defined as to what can the Parliament do. It can, of course, cede means it can alter the territories and everything, right? So there are a few important implications which you have to focus, and please do make sure that you cover this in detail. Next is, what is the democratic socialism and how does it differ from state socialism, right? Democratic socialism and state socialism. See, democratic socialism supports mixed economy with peaceful democratic means. State socialism, on the other hand, it talks about complete state control over the means of production. And however, the democratic socialism of India, which India tried to inculcate, was the result of the huge international freedom movement, and unlike the Marxist socialism, right, it is totally different, right? So that is also one important thing you have to keep in mind. Moving on to the next question, what is social democracy and how is political equality ensured under the constitution? What is social democracy and how is political equality ensured under the constitution? Social democracy means what? So it is for the citizens, right, for the betterment of the citizens, and it is for the citizens that only when they have liberty, equality, and fraternity, we can say that citizens have social democracy, right? And political equality, how is it ensuring? How is the constitution ensuring? Political equality is ensured through universal adult franchise and one person, one vote, and one value. And talking about universal adult franchise, another important thing to keep in mind that this is the only provision probably which was passed unopposed in the very first Constituent Assembly, right? So that is also one of the very important thing with respect to universal adult franchise. And then, what constitutes a republic and what are the devices of the direct democracy? A republic has an elected head of state, no hereditary rule, and political equality is also there. And devices of direct democracy include referendum, initiative, recall, and plebiscite, right? All these terminologies are important. You have to know what is referendum, initiative, recall, plebiscite, and did any part of India, be Jammu Kashmir or let's say Andhra Pradesh, like let's say during the unification of Indian states, did any of the state or let's say was there a need for India to have any of these four devices to be put in practice, like referendum, initiative? These things are very clearly mentioned in Lakshmikant. Please make sure you know that, right? Now moving on to the last question, is the preamble a part of the constitution and does it limit legislative power? The preamble is of course part of the constitution, which was clearly told and underscored in the Keshwananda Bharati case. However, it all started, in fact, there's a series of things all the way from Berubari case 1960 to Keshwananda Bharati case. You have to know the entire sequence, very important. And also it is clearly important and very much important to know that preamble, although it is part of the constitution, it is non-justiciable, right? Means you cannot go to the court saying that yes, some provisions or some particular word is mentioned in the preamble, so it is justiciable. You cannot do that. Pretty much like DPSP. On the other hand, fundamental rights, they are justiciable in nature. Means you can move to the Supreme Court, you can move the court, right? That's what it is. So it is non-justiciable, but acts as a guide and limitation on the legislative power. Means it acts like a guiding light, right? It acts as a philosophical light. It throws philosophical light on the legislative power. It gives an idea, it gives an overview as to what should be the ideal of a person whenever he is trying to enact certain laws, especially this not with respect to a particular person, but the entire parliament, entire legislative wing, right? Anyway, these 10 questions pretty much subsumes the entire preamble chapter, and these are all the important dimensions, important areas which you have to focus most importantly for the prelims examination. Of course, there are a lot of things in the preamble chapter. All those things are important, but these are the most important, from where the questions can be picked, from where the confusions or let's say the questions can be made tricky, or even UPSC can set traps in these topics, right? So it is better you have a grip in all of these 10 questions or all of these 10 topics, and probably we'll meet another with another video in the same playlist. Until then, signing off, this is Madan Gopal. Have a beautiful day.